these are the colors that y'all are going to need. So make sure you have a watercolor brush, a round brush like this is what I'll be using, a pink, a yellow, I'm going with a green yellow here, a blue color. Some helpful colors would be if you have like a purpley color or a ready mix green color. And then it's not necessary, but it I like to give it a little pizzazz. So a gold or silver or both pen. I'll be using both. Or you can use a black pen. And with the Fireweed, the bottom blossoms, they kind of start to wilt away. And then you've got a section where they are blooming. You've got a section of buds that are sticking out, fixing to bloom. And then you've got a section of the blooms that are they haven't bloomed, and they're not fixing to be ready to bloom, and they're really tightly adhered together. Now, another thing to know about the flowers themselves is that they have 4 of these rounded petals, and then they have almost what looks like a plus sign with these skinny petals here. So you can see the skinny ones there. And then in the center, and I forget what the actual name of the plant parts is, but there's this little squiggly, curly part. And it also has 4 parts. 3 or 4 parts to it, depending. I think this is 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. But you can draw it as just 3 or as 4. And so that's what Fireweed looks like. And so here again is the bloom of the Fireweed. So we've got the circle, 4 of those. We've got the 4 here of that center white part, and then the 4 little skinny petals. And that's kind of what it looks like from the side when it hasn't quite budded yet. And if you aren't catching me on the live, but you are catching me like on my YouTube channel or what have you, feel free to just start painting along. So I'll go a little bit over color theory. So this here is a pink color, but it could represent red. This one here, oh, and this one is called, all my paints are M.Graham. This one is Quinacridone Rose. This one is called Azo Yellow, and it is a green tinted yellow, or you could even call it like a yellow green type thing. But it can represent the yellow in this combination. And then this one here is called Ultramarine Blue. The pink and the blue, or you can call it the red and the blue, come together. We mix those, we get a purple color. The pink and the yellow here, traditionally, if this were a true red and this were a true yellow, we would get an orange color. This is nowhere near that orange color. And that is because this one is a cool red, meaning a red that's going towards blue. And this one is a cool yellow, which is a yellow going towards blue. So we've got red, yellow, and blue all coming together, and that can brown or dull our colors. So we've got a really dull pink color. But I find that does tend to be the perfect shade for the tips of Fireweeds, and so that's why I included it here. And then when you mix a yellow and a blue, you get a green. And we're going to use that for the stem. So we're going to use this for the petal, this for the petal and the stem, this for the petals, this for the petals, and the stem. And then some other colors that I find helpful would be to have a red color. This one is maroon. A green color, I believe this one is called Hooker's Green. And a pinkish purplish color. It's just a deeper, richer color than the one that I've chosen, though you can just use multiple layers of this one. I used this for the little skinny petals that look like a plus sign on the Fireweed. And these three here are kind of more convenience colors. They can all be painted if you have a very just basic palette with just these two colors if you wanted. And then a gold and silver I like to use for details. So when it comes to painting the Fireweed the way that I do, you only need a few strokes to create the flower. So I'm using a round brush, and you only need to do little dabs like that to get this type of brush stroke, and then you can use the same type of movement and go horizontally. And this I use for the tip of the Fireweed that I'm painting. Let me get my sticker back. So right here. So that's how we use those brush strokes. And then for the ones that are going out sideways, that's just where we use those that are going in that direction. Then if you take that same brush stroke, but you put it on top of each other, for example, just dab, dab, dab like that, that is what I use for the flower petals that are in the main blooms of the Fireweed. And then here, just being able to make a line like this, we use that for the main stem as well as the connectors between the flower petals. And then it's not shown here, but let me go back to my pictures. Where the blossoms have fallen off of the Fireweed, we have just the stalks. And I think I have a picture of a Fireweed where we can see that. Let's see. So this one isn't as clear, but this is one that I took. But you can kind of see here where these blossoms have fallen off, and so you've just got these lines here. And I believe that's where the seeds, when it's time for winter, where those seeds come from, or the seed pods where they develop. Okay. So that's the only strokes. Oh, and then the last stroke is just a wash. So it's this blue one down here. But for that, all that you need to be able to do is just kind of make a wider swipe type thing. So that's not a very difficult stroke to do at all. And okay. So then here I've kind of got the stages of the painting as far as the petals go. So just putting them together. And so here are 3 different types of blossoms that I tend to put in the Fireweed. So the first step is to just put the color down. And then the second step is to kind of come back, put the stem, and then layer those petals on top, the ones that make the plus sign. And then the last step is to just kind of come back in with your pen and do some details. Now, I like to do wet on wet a lot of times with my Fireweeds, and you'll see here that the pink and the purple kind of blend together right there, and the pinks and the yellows, and it almost has an orange tint to it. They all kind of blend together here at the top. That is called wet and wet. This is called wet on dry, which means I painted it, let it dry, and then I put this second coat on top. Wet and wet is when you put down your first color And then while it is still wet, you dab in your other colors. And you can get some really nice effects by doing that. And so basically, that is all the prep work that you need to do in order to paint fireweed the way that I do. Now here, the gold I did put here under the brush stroke section, just being able to do little squigglies and lines, and that is for the details here. And then in the silver, and you might not see that as well. Well, yeah, you can see it in the image. I just do kind of a little curlicue, and that's for the centers of those flowers. And yeah, there you can see it, the little centers of those flowers. And so the top, and I'm gonna make my fireweed. And you just kind of make it interesting. So I've got some of that, and then I'm just gonna, while that's still wet, I'm just gonna dip a little bit of pink in there sometimes. And I'm also gonna take a little bit of the green and dip it in. And this is that wet and wet technique. Okay, and so I've got the stem there going. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to point them out. Because that's what the plant does. Okay, now I'm moving to a more pink color instead of the orangish color. Okay, and now here is where we get to play around with the petals. So you just squiggle some marks. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because I also have a color called Quin Rose. Quin Rose. So that's my Quin Rose as compared to my Quin Red. And I'm going to sneak some of it in here too. And the really fun part about doing this is you don't really know what the petals are doing when you're painting, or at least I don't. I just kind of make fun shapes and then I work out how they fit together later. I think I need, okay, now I'm starting to get to the point where I need to be adding some blues because I'm kind of getting towards the end. So I'm going to take my color and I'm going to mix it and I'm going to make a purple color. And I'm just going to come back and start dipping in. Okay. And this is where those petals have started drying up. Okay. I'm gonna see. I don't know if I can move that up a little bit more. Okay. Then I'm just gonna sneak some of that Ultramarine Blue into these bottom ones. And you need to do this while it's still wet. feel like there needs to be some more color. A little bit more color variation in these. And then I do kind of want to go ahead and sneak my stem in. Now I start off green with the Azo Green. And then I mix and turn it into the Sap or either Hooker's Green. I can't remember which one I'm using. And you just want that stem to kind of come straight down. Though nature's not perfect, so. You don't have to be either. And that stem was a little bit too light. So I darkened it up. I'm just gonna make it come down like that. I'm also gonna take the ultramarine color and I'm going to dip it into that stem. Now, the other thing is that these plants are connected to that stem. And so you just want to indicate with a little line that they're coming in to that stem. Now, as you get further down the stem, you use a darker color to indicate it. Because the stem's getting darker. Just like that. Now this side looks a little bit fuller than that side, so I'm going to put another flower over there. Put 2 more flowers. I'll just do it like that. And then I'll put one down here. We'll say it's the back side of a flower. We'll say there's a flower there. Just kind of make it a little bit fuller towards the middle. And then with our leaf, and I'm gonna cut it where my line is, but just to kind of help me with flow. We'll come to the outsides. And just kind of do that. I think I want another one to come up like this. You can kind of see that yellow a lot better now in the green with that. Okay. Just gonna blend that out a little bit. So I don't want it to be that yellow. do another one like that. I think 3 is good. I'll let that dry and then I'll come back in. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'll mix some of that ultramarine, which is a really dark color. I'll put it along the stems. And while this is all still wet. Yeah, I like that better. But I am going to dab it up there because I didn't like how dark it got there, but I like that. I'm gonna take a little bit of that Azo color. I'm just gonna put it over the top just to kind of indicate like the sun is touching the tops of those leaves. I like that quite a bit. And then it looks like that leaf is behind there, so I'm even going to just take a little bit of the blue and put it on that side so it looks like there's even just a little bit of a shadow there from that petal. Hello everyone. Let's see. Queen Bee, oh thank you, thank you. I quite like how it's coming out. And that is kind of the first layer. So this is kind of a fun part where you get to look at your abstract flower and you get to decide which way you think your flower should be facing, because there's some that are facing straight at you, some that are on the side, and then there's some that are backwards, like that one right there. And then here are the purple ones that we had painted that were wilted. Well, see, there's an obvious break right there, and it looks like it's pointed that way. So I'm going to put one there, and then I'm going to put one there. Then I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to put one there. Okay, so that's where those are. And then this one kind of looks like that. It's pointed that way. This one I can kind of see where it looks like it's pointing that way. Let's see, this one kind of looks more like it's head on. This one kind of looks like it's doing that. Let's see, this one, see, it's doing something like that. And not everyone is going to have the 4 petals. But even these guys, they're going to have them on the tops. And actually, I think this is the first time I've ever put them on the little guys. Oh, and there's another part I forgot. I forgot to add the little bits from the flowers that had already wilted. So let me throw some of those in. Just gonna throw some of those down there. And it could be that it's early in the season and so there weren't a lot of them. That's what we'll say. Just because I'm feeling it. And I'm gonna use it for my leaves. I like what that did. And so that technique is called glazing. It's where you can see colors peeping through the watercolors. Now, I'm also, something that I'm kind of, I guess, known for doing with my Fireweed paintings is splatters. And I'm going to use that same blue to splatter. And so what you do is you make yourself a little puddle with your color, and you take your brush and you hold it, and then you're just going to tap, tap, tap. Just like this, kind of hold it all different ways. And I really like the effect that this gives. And I'm also not only going to use this blue color, but I'm going to throw a little bit of the pink in there too. Same pink that I used for the Fireweed, I'm going to use the Quin red color. And you want your little puddle to be kind of a juicy puddle. And you can make a mess with this. I always get covered in paint, but that's what's fun about it. So I'm gonna go on my silver pen first. Let's see, Goji, what kind of gold and silver pens do you use? I use these here. So Uniball, Signo. And I believe, let's see, does it tell me what size these are? It just says broad. So I'm not quite sure what that is. But I have it in silver and gold. Same thing. You can actually get a pack on Amazon, and I think it's in my Amazon list. And it's a pack of the gold, silver, and the white. Now, I will say, I've never had the gold or the silver get like not dry up, but it's like where you've got ink in the pen, but it's just not coming out. I forget what that's called. But I have had that happen with the white version. But I've never had it happen with the gold or the silver version. And so I have used white gouache for the centers of the flowers before. And that's actually what I used on this painting, was I used white gouache for the centers of the flowers. Thank you for the likes, guys. Let's see, this guy. He's going to be facing forward. And these guys are not so much. This guy facing that way. He's backwards. He's backwards. Or is he forwards? I know this guy is gonna be like that. And actually I did this on purpose, but so you can kind of see. Let me see. Let me get something I can point with. Okay, can we see? Okay, so this line here. So I put a strip of water or it was very dilute color, and then I let the red run. So I use like this green, and then I let the red run into it, and there's a kind of an outline here around where that pigment dried, as opposed to, say, like these petals. You don't see that harsh line as much. And sometimes that can happen whenever you are mixing colors where one pigment is heavier than the other. And it can also happen when you are putting a color on top of another color and it's pushing the pigment. So let me move to show you one more thing. So then here at the bottom, so this is off of where the picture's going to be in the frame. But so this is called a bloom, and this can happen whenever water touches your paint. And so then this area is wet and this area is dry, and the water tries to spread out, and so it pushes your pigment. So it actually lifts your pigment and pushes it away. Now, how you can prevent this is you dry it with a hairdryer so it doesn't have time to push the pigment, or you dab it up. That's kind of your two options to prevent that. And sometimes we want blooms to form. And I just, honestly, I kind of go crazy. See, can y'all see okay? I can zoom y'all in. Okay. My light's kind of right where I need it to be, right in the way. Let's see if I can move my light. I still think the shadow is going to be in the way, but I think that's a little bit better. I'm just making squiggly lines. You don't have to hit all of them. It's really just to give something glittery when you turn the paper. Let's see. Thank you for explaining. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, now we decided, or I decided, that this flower is facing that way. And I know the petal comes out. And like I said, we're not trying to follow. We're not trying to trace the outline. You can go outside of the lines. And you're just kind of outlining those 4 petals. And then a lot of times I like to just throw some lines that indicate folds in a petal, I guess. And so then I just go around and kind of loosely. You just have fun with it. I kind of think the messier you are with it, I mean, up to a point, the prettier it is. Because if people wanted a photograph, they would just take a picture, you know? What they want is your expression of said flower. And I think the gold, I mean, I've been doing the gold on my fireweed for a while, and I just love the look of it. And then just squiggles. And then another thing I like to do is I come back and I just do strokes to indicate where those guys are. A lot of times I'll put a little gold detail. I'll put a little bit more up here. Let me zoom out because y'all couldn't see what I was doing. Fix my lights a little bit. And then I'm just gonna throw some gold on my leaf. Just like that. And with that, I think I'm finished. Another thing I like to do is I like to frame it. In the frame it's gonna go in before I sign it. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sign it right here in this corner in pencil. And I'm just gonna kind of put where I want my A to be. And I don't like that. Let's see, I think I want it an A and an O. Yeah, I like that. Okay, then I'm just gonna get my kneaded eraser. I'll make it pretty much invisible to everybody but me. Then I'm gonna get that gold pen again, and now I'm gonna do my signature. That's gorgeous. I think that's one of the prettiest fireweed paintings I've painted to date, to be honest, guys. Let me zoom in here and give y'all an up-close look. I really like the leaves. I haven't really painted very many leaves on my fireweeds before, but I really like that.